Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a review of a recent trophy wine night I had with my buddies. We haven't got together for a while. This is usually initiated for different reasons, but I wanted to thank some of my friends for some things that they'd helped me with, and also, just for the holiday season. So we just got together. It's very kind of novel and organic how we do this. We just get together for dinner, and it's kind of exciting because everyone just starts by saying, we want to bring a wine to share with everyone else, and we kind of just build on the night. So really looking forward to this and the different wines that different people brought. Here is a video of our lineup of wines. So a lot of wine, and so we actually didn't open. There was even more wine, but we didn't open it because we were getting a little bit inebriated. So I thought that was enough. So my friend started off because we were waiting for other people to arrive, and she blind tasted me with this wine, and so I think I did pretty well. I picked up it was Bordeaux. I thought my first thought was left bank, and then I changed mine to right bank because I thought there was a lot of Merlot in it. And then, they kind of helped me out and said, you're doing with your first thought, which was left bank. And then I looked on left bank. I said, well, it's not saying Estef. It's not saying Julien because it doesn't have any spice on it. I tasted a lot of chocolate on this wine, and I thought it was maybe Pauillac or Margaux, but I should have stuck to my guns with the chocolate taste. That would be a little bit more Margaux based. They kind of asked me what the quality was. I thought it was a decent quality. I knew it wasn't their first growth, but I thought it was kind of in the maybe fourth growth, fifth growth region. It was actually the 2009 Segla, which is the second wine of Rauzan Segla, which is the second growth wine of the Margaux region. So very consistent notes with, I've had this wine before, but my notes here was very chocolatey and smooth, a bit short on the aftertaste, but lots of fruit. The 09 is showing very well right now, really drinking well. My rating of this wine was 89 points. Next wine we had was the appetizer wine, which is the Piper Heidseick Rare. I didn't get the vintage, and I didn't get a good picture of it. I think it was 06, but it was a really nice champagne. I've always enjoyed Rare, good starter, mid-level, kind of mid-sweetness type of champagne, so I really enjoyed it. I won't give full tasting notes on it because I just don't have the picture of it. And then the following wine is a wine that I'm quite familiar with, is the Bichot 2017 Corton Charlemagne, which is a Grand Cru vineyard. I thought it was good, but actually people really enjoyed it. I think it's still a little young, but now it's starting to develop some secondary flavors. I saw peach, citrus with toasty oak. My rating was 93 points. I think a lot of people enjoyed it even more than I did. I'm a little harsh on this wine because I brought it. I think it needs another 5 years, but it just needs to develop some secondary flavors. I'll just mention that we had that with a lobster dish, and this next wine we had with a red snapper, which is kind of interesting. There's a couple of pairings. I had one at the Araxi Tinhorn Creek dinner where it was paired with red wine was paired with a fish, but the sauce was heavier, and it works really well actually if it's a firm fish. So this wine is the Vincent Girardin 1999 Romanee Premier Cru Le Beaux Monts. The Beaux Monts is a really spectacular Premier Cru site in Romanee, and 1999 is a really classic vintage. So it was really tasting nicely, not over the hill. I think it's right at its peak right now. Exceptionally aromatic. It was a really, really great wine, and I think a lot of people enjoyed it. My tasting note was loam and forest with spice and leather, and red fruits on the nose, red cherry and some forest and brambleberry, and some woodiness. So I think it's really drinking at its peak right now. My rating is 93 points. Next, we did a comparative tasting of a 86 and 2012 Montrose. It was paired with a truffle pasta. So the first, let's go with the 86 Montrose. I really like this wine. This was my, I think, wine of the night. Probably because I'm not a big Montrose fan. I find it really austere and really tannic. But the 86, I was really surprised with it. I think it's showing spectacularly right now. It's really drinking at its peak. It's my notes on this. It's very oaky and a traditional claret. I think it's still quite youthful. It is on its peak, but not really on the decline. It's got oak, mint, spice, and red currants. Very smooth and balanced. But this is a traditional claret, and it really kind of emphasizes the stylistic differences between 80s Bordeaux and current Bordeaux. So this was really much more oakier than the 12. We had it with the 2012 Montrose, and really great tasting because both of them I think are at its peak and drinking in the drinking window. And I think the winemaker changed. So stylistically, you can tell the style of the wines. I like this too. It was very intense with blackberry, figs, plums, and tar. And the contrast is exceptional with 86. 86 is a much more brooding, woody wine, and you can see the vibrancy of the 12. It's a different style. It's much more fruit forward in stylistically, but still a great wine. So I like this also. My rating of this wine was 92 points. Next two wines prepared, and it was with a beef dish, was the 13 Haut Brion and the 86 Palmer. And that's where the kind of lied in terms of the wines. Seemed like those were two that were left out, so we kind of paired them together. 13 Haut Brion is always a great wine to drink, but this one I found was a lighter style of Haut Brion. It doesn't stand out as much in terms of the taste profile, but really nice wine. Any Haut Brion is really excellent. This is from a what they would call an off or lighter vintage, and so it does show in that sense. It is in its drinking window at this point, so I don't think you need to wait any longer. It's got lots of red fruit with some minerally elements and tobacco. The aftertaste is not exceptionally long for Haut Brion, but really nice drinking. My rating of this wine was 92 points. Next wine was the 86 Palmer, and this was for most people, I think, the wine of the night. For me, actually, I had a different opinion, but again, everyone has their own opinions. I actually thought it was kind of slightly on the decline, and so not showing that well. I think the Palmers that are being made today are much stronger than the 80s, which are hit and miss. So to me, it's still a good wine, but probably on the decline. So there's no need to hold on to this wine, and significantly more than the 86 Montrose, which I think it's right at its peak. My tasting notes, cigar box with earthy and tobacco on the nose, very, very woody, shredded of all its tannins, but lots of structure and austerity, slightly acidic. I think it's on the decline. It got some maraschino cherry, kirsch, and blood orange on the palate. The tannins, again, are all kind of resolved, so it's medium bodied. My score was 90 points on this wine. With our cheese course, we had a 89 Pichon Baron and a 2003 Pichon Lalande. And I was mistaken. I actually thought I had a Pichon Lalande, so I thought it would be a great pairing. 89 versus 03, I actually had a Pichon Baron. But that's the way things go, and we decided to serve them together anyways. So the 89 Pichon Baron, I thought, again, slightly on the decline. So, if I think of someone that's, climbing a rope, the Montrose 86 was, I finished climbing the rope. The Palmer was, I'm kind of slipping down. I'm halfway slipping down. This one is just, I'm getting over the edge. I'm coming down. That's kind of how I felt about this wine. But it was still very, very drinkable. Again, the great contrast between a 80s Bordeaux and a current Bordeaux, the difference in terms of the stylistically is very, very evident. So for me, the tasting notes with cedar, with leather and tar aromas, dried dark fruit with thyme and pepper spices. It's fully mature, but it still has about 5 to years of drinking window before it goes into serious decline. My rating was 94 points on this wine. The other one we had with the cheese course was the 03 Pichon Lalande. So it's actually, to me, fully mature right now, at its peak, drinking very nicely. Lots of intensity of flavors, but the aftertaste is a little short, so it dissipates quickly. And my first thought, and some other people said the same thing, was this is like a Robert Parker wine. Big, bold flavors on originally, and then dissipates quickly. So my notes on this: full-bodied, black currants, blackberries, black plums, all the power up front. A little bit not as full when you get to the aftertaste. So I think it'll drink well for the next 10 years, but it's really fully mature at this point and drinking very nicely. My rating is 93 points. Our last pairing with the dessert was really interesting. It was a 1963 Cockburn vintage port, and then a 1963 Messias Colheita port. So just the difference between the two, it's just so neat to contrast when both of them are the same vintage. So let's go with the Cockburn first. Obviously fully mature at this point, a little bit of nuttiness on the palate and on the aromas. My notes: medium bodied, medium intensity of figs and cherry liquor with a slight tobacco leaf aftertaste. My rating was 93 points. The Messias Colheita I have had before and enjoyed it. So the difference between vintage port and Colheita port. So Colheita port is basically a tawny port, but it's only of 1 year, 1963. And the difference between tawny ports and vintage ports is essentially tawny ports and these Colheita ports, they do not improve in the bottle, so they're kind of embalmed. They've spent a little bit more time aging in barrel, and once they're bottled, they don't improve. Vintage port, they spend less time in a barrel and they are put into bottles, and they actually do soften with age. So that's the difference. And generally speaking, because of that, vintage port is more expensive than Colheita or tawny port. So my tasting notes for the Messias Colheita port was it's bronze brownish color. It's got balsamic vinegar, almonds, caramel, orange peel in the aroma, long aftertaste, prunes, orange peel, orange marmalade, and dried apricots on the taste. My rating was 91 points. All in all, spectacular night. Best thing about it is the company, as always, and but the wines were pretty good also. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.